What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Unlock Your Freedom podcast with Kevin Kepple. If you're looking to create more in your life, and if you want more of anything, it's not about doing more, it's about being more. So I'm excited you're here, and I'll see you guys on the inside. All right, my friend, let's kick it off in the deep end. Talk to me about what is your definition of consciousness?
That is the deep end. Okay, so definition of consciousness to me would be on the lines of being aware. How aware are we of our own beingness, how we move through the world physically, emotionally, mentally, and the connection we have with this higher power, but also with the individuals that we choose to interact and engage with.
Wow. Talk to me about that. Is like 18 different words in there I need to unpack. But talk to me about beingness. What is it?
To me, beingness is being fully aware and alert of all of our senses, but also leaning into the bigger being that we truly are. The fragment of God, universe, consciousness, whatever you want to call bigger, higher power. We're a fragment of that. So beingness to me is being open to receive and surrender into all of them.
Yeah, and I think that's a really eloquent way of saying, it's like, it's not so much like what you say that people remember. It's like how you make them feel. And it's like, who are you being when you're with people? And like, there's so many amazing times in my life that I felt so good when I think about it, but I don't remember exactly what happened or what was said, but I can always tell you how I felt. And, we live in this world of, feeling, and understanding that is really giving yourself access to, you kind of like touched on it for a second. It's like that infinite side of us. And like, that's what I want to create from, because if I have access to like infinite intelligence, like, well, that sounds way better than this finite version that I carry around that has lack and limitation and all these other things that are just kind of human-made contraptions. So I know one of the things you really help people with is understanding kind of their soul lessons. And so talk to us about soul lessons, and how do you first uncover what the soul lesson may be?
Every single part of life that we interact and engage with, be it something that creates friction in everything that we do, be it somebody parks the wrong way, be it a conversation that we have with somebody, our relationship, our conflict, resentments, all those emotions that we carry along the way of life, each and every single one of those are a soul lesson.
Yeah, I get lessons all day long, every day. And somebody cuts me off in traffic or whatever. And I think that, it's really interesting when you can learn to identify the resistance in your life instead of stressing about it, just really learning to work through it and unfold and not get married to the identities you've created in the past. It's like, oh, well, this is, how I show up in this situation. That's usually not like a conscious thought, but just because I was doesn't mean I have to continue to be. And, that's true in really any area of my life. That's really freeing, because if I'm not enjoying the results that I'm getting, then cool, I can do better. And that's like our gift as humans, is choice and change. And that's one of the guarantees we get in the world, is things are going to change. Like, guarantee it. I'd love to talk about karma a little bit. And I think karma is, there's like the TV version of karma, right? Like, I do something good, I get something good coming back to me. And I think it's a little bit different from some of the deeper teachings on karma and karmic experiences. So could you share your understanding of karma?
We're all here. Most of the people on this planet are here based on karma. And yes, there is that. Karma is often associated with the wrongs. So we're here to do the rights from the wrongs that we have done either in this lifetime or in previous life. But karma is also indicative of all the good that we have done. You get to live in a first world country. I get to live in a first world country. Surely that's an influence of karma that we have seeded from previous lifetimes.
So how do we improve our karma? And is that even the appropriate way to say that?
Looking at the life lessons that show up, looking at those interactions, those frictions, those resistances that we have are all indicative of karmic experiences that are looking for resolution and healing, from my perspective, that will send us ultimately to a direction or lead us to a direction of our heart. the element of unconditional love for people who create, or people who we allow create friction in our lives.
That's like the greatest thing you can do, and maybe the hardest thing you can do is to return love for hate, right? And I think that if you can do that, you can do anything. And to me, like, life is really about mastering that art of choosing love over fear, because when I'm aligned with unconditional love, like, that's a really powerful place for me to be, because I'm going to create and I'm going to connect and I'm going to bring something into the world that's never existed before. But when I react from fear, it's just repetitive, like, pain patterns. And you talked about soul lessons, and it's like, if I keep getting the same like sticking point in my life, it's like, what lesson am I not learning because I'm refusing to see something? And it's such a funny thing when you can move past things that have held you back for a long time, because Galileo had a great quote where he said, all truths are easy to understand once they are discovered. It's like, oh, that was so simple. But simple doesn't always mean easy, of course. And it's like, we're all a work in progress, and just take a nice light touch is generally the way, instead of trying to force it. And I don't want to be forceful, I want to be powerful. I'd love to hear your ideas around our responsibility as humans while we're here, and what that is.
It's an interesting space to not overcomplicate life. We've been given this beautiful gift of the mind, right? And the mind loves puzzles and just different intricate and strategic and complex things. But when we ultimately boil down into life, is how can we be much kinder to ourselves and others around us? Where can we show more grace? If everybody did that,
it would be amazing.
It would be a pretty sweet space to be in.
That word kindness is dramatically underrated, in my opinion, because I've never not felt amazing when I was around somebody who was being kind. And I've never felt bad about myself or other people when I'm being kind. And I think the more intentional I am about being kind as opposed to being right, like, the better everything gets. Because I don't need to be right all the time. I used to think that was the case, and like, I would fight as hard as I possibly could to be right. And like, so what? I don't have a bag of rights I carry around, but like, kindness is contagious and beautiful, and it's such a cool way to connect with other humans.
Yeah, it's underrated for sure.
What about a soul lesson that you recently learned that you could share with us? Is there anything at the top of mind for you?
Is there anything? A minute, let me pull out the list. Hold on. There are many things. Perhaps the bigger thing, be it me or anybody else who I have witnessed on their soul journey, is to be able to surrender from a place of, it's not worth holding on to the heaviness of life. And then what I mean by that is, sometimes we can walk through life. So for instance, for me, we can walk through life with experiences of others and how they have treated you or how you have treated them based on that. When we carry that forward, you alluded to it earlier in the conversation, of meeting somebody today in who they are today, not based on who they were yesterday. And what does that look like? So for me, that was a really big lesson relatively recently, in getting reacquainted with individuals based on who they are today and not who they were. Perhaps a prime example could be children. When parents look at children as adults, in their mind, they're still children, but they're not. They're grown, functioning adults who have their own lives and may even be parents. But can the parent really see them in that light? Or do they still treat them as a child? That's a big one.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic. And so my follow-up question to that is, how do you suggest, or what ways do you help people make new decisions about themselves and the people in their lives? Because we have all these opinions or judgments, and then it gets treated as a fact. And it's not, it's an opinion. Just because I feel this way about myself or somebody else doesn't make it true. And so how do I make new decisions? And one guess is staying present, right? Because in the present moments where I have awareness of what's going on, but can be guilty of what you just said, whether it's looking at myself or looking at other people, it's like, oh, they're always this way, or they never do that, or I never do this. And when I hear those words, never and always, I'll really work to stop and look where I've made a judgment, because like, judgment's the end of understanding, right? Like, once I've judged something as this is this thing or is not this thing, then I work to prove myself right. And again, I don't want to be right. I want to be kind. So how do you help people over decisions?
To unravel where they feel the outcome of that decision is. Most people, it's a wrong and a right. So what makes you believe that you are right? And unravel that. Is it coming from a belief system? Is it coming from a judgment that you have had? Is it coming from a subconscious awareness that you didn't even know that was there? Is it coming from the judgment of others? So our parents, our peers, our community who have said, don't listen to that person because that all influences our decision. So unraveling that is what I support others on.
Yeah, I love that word, unraveling, because it's not like I can just point right to it necessarily. You know, we have to like shed years of conditioning.
It's layers.
Get to the truth. But I think like one of the root causes of really any negative emotion, like, you know, judgment, opinion, control, is the base, right? Like I need to know for certain what is happening or who this person is so that I feel safe. And like, that's the ego, right? The ego needs to have all the answers before it can feel okay about things. And the world's complex. There's so much going on and it's so fast to change that it's so hard to make a decision about this is that. And instead, like, it's way more conducive to just overall happiness, joy, ease, grace, and flow is, you know, I am love, and creating from that place. Mm-hmm. And that sounds like, mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that sounds great, but I got real problems. Like, okay, well, you know, you get two options. You can create from love or you can react from fear, and everything kind of flows from that. And I react from fear. That means I'm just stuck in some cycle that probably isn't serving me or anybody around me. And, you know, it takes courage to love, especially when you don't feel love coming the other way. But you said that word earlier, unconditional love. That means I love you, period. Not I love you if. And the good news is with unconditional love, like I don't even have to like you or what you're doing to love you, right? I just love you because you know what? We're both humans. We're both doing this thing and it's hard. And I love you no matter what.
Right. And I completely agree. And it is absolutely so hard for individuals to get into that space of unconditional love and to not to judge others based on their actions and behaviors. But when we reverse engineer that whole process, it comes from a place of their own karmic trauma that's resulted in the behavior of, now I am not worthy. So now I need to prove myself to others that I have my life together by either controlling, by either being dependent, by manipulation, or whatever all those actions and behaviors are that we do. But it's ultimately a separation when we incarnated onto this planet, and also influences from previous lifetimes, the separation from infinite source. When we were separated from infinite source, that extraction of infinite source is nothing but infinite love. And when we extract that, when we become this human being, we're not tethered to that anymore. So that feeling of being abandoned, not being loved, being judged, all shows up in life. That's why when we are children, those nurturing years are so important. The reassurance of love. So it's embedded in us.
Yeah, and I think that is really profound, the way you said that. And the word infinite you've used a few times. And I think that understanding that the definition of infinite is helpful in eliminating judgment, because infinite means there's no beginning, there's no end. That's like what the word means. And if that's the case, then how can I judge something as this? Because I'm encapsulating it into some sort of a box that I've created with a judgment or an opinion. But if there's no beginning, there's no end, like I can't really do that. And so that is, you know, the opposite of moving towards my truth and whatever that looks like. And I think that
absolutely,
like the goal is alignment, right? Alignment with our most authentic self, which is love, because that's where we're going to find really long-term happiness, but also like really good energy too, where we just feel like the best we're going to get to feel on the planet. And, you know, anxiety and, you know, guilt and depression and all those other things that comes from misalignment. And, you know, when I've been there for years at a time, and it's so hard and confusing. And it's because like I was going the wrong way, and I ignored all the signs, and like bull in a china shop. I was like, well, I'll just make it happen and like force it and cram the square peg through the round hole. And if you don't like it, something's wrong with you. And that's such a lazy way to go through life. I was telling myself I was being like strong and powerful, and like, man, you're just hiding. You're hiding from your truth because it's scary and you don't know all the answers. And like, you know how to like be, hard and forceful, but it's such a counterproductive way to go through life. So talk to me about your energetic gifts. I'd love to hear what those may be, or if you could illuminate that for us.
Absolutely. I connect with people on a soul level. So when I work with individuals one-on-one, and we do the deep dive, so to speak, for about a year or so, and unraveling all of these pieces, it's very much from connecting on a soul level, which takes us into probably the fifth, sixth, and beyond dimension, if you're looking at dimensions. So there's layers of energy that we have access to, and the broader the layer, so to speak, the higher the frequency, so the higher the vibrational frequency that is connected to. So I connect with individuals on a soul level, which is put into the fifth dimension and beyond. And tapping into those frequencies and those fields allows for alchemy to be able to transform and transmute energy, because everything is energy. The space between you and I right now is nothingness, but it's still a vibrational frequency, and that can still be transformed and transmuted. So I feel that is a big gift that I've been able to step into and highlight in transforming energy and frequency with others. So in a community, to do good for the world and tap into the forces of nature, the wind, the water, all the elements, but most significantly, Mother Earth, the earth that we live on, the land that we live on, to be in relationship and communion with her and all of her kingdoms. That to me is the gift, and I want to say the deliciousness of life that I've been able to tap into.
The deliciousness. What a great word. And man, that's some powerful stuff. I can't imagine the amount of people you've been able to serve with that gift. That's pretty phenomenal. And what a beautiful way to get to serve people. That's amazing. So who are your favorite types of people to work with?
I want to preface this. I share all what I did with you based on my awareness to put it down to a third dimensional context, so people can understand from a consciousness level. By no means am I saying it from a place of ego, because I know that most of the work that I do, it's not me alone. There's a massive team that we all have that will walk through life. I choose to engage and get the support to be able to do the work that I do. It's not just me, myself, and I. No way. So in terms of the people that I support on a spectrum, from those who have done similar work and are alchemists and be able to transform and have done some of their own inner work, be it from an energetic level or be it from a cognitive space. Maybe they've been through a couple of years of therapy, of being able to understand and maybe articulate their emotions in a better way. I support those people, but I also support those who have been in the energetic or been on the healing circle for maybe 2 or 3 decades. So those who are already practitioners of some sort in this giving space, but also those who are maybe very new to the world of energy, or recognize they feel energy and they want to retreat, or they have recognized words like empaths or highly sensitive people because they're becoming more and more online as the frequency is changing on the planet. For a lot of individuals, but the primary objective for me is to be able to teach them and guide them what I know. I'm not here to fix anybody. I'm here to give you the tools that are in my back to you. That's my objective.
And that's great. I love that you said the word fix, right? Nobody needs to be fixed. Nobody's broken. We're created from infinite intelligence. So it didn't make a mistake on this one, right? And it's about a better understanding of just like who we be. And that's the whole point, really, is to align with this infinite part of us and how we can use that to create value for other people. And that is a much less flowery or eloquent way to say it, but that's what I heard. So I love that you said that. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Let's bring this thing in for a landing. You've got lots of important work to do, but I got a couple more quick questions and we'll get out of here. So what does freedom mean to you here on the Unlock Your Freedom podcast?
Freedom to me is awareness, because when something shows up in your awareness, then you can do something about it.
Yeah, that's a great point. What about a favorite book to read, recommend, or give away?
My go-to, and I come back to it often, is The 5 Agreements. I get The 5 Agreements. I Don Ruiz. I might butcher the author name, but they're simple enough principles. That's right. You got it. Yeah. 5 simple principles. Doesn't come from a faith base. You're not really tapping into spirituality if that scares you. Just basic principles of how to live through life. And if you take them to heart, I guarantee you they will change your life.
Absolutely. And they are so simple. And simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, right? That's what Da Vinci said. I would agree. Simple ideas are remembered and repeated, but they often get ignored because of their simplicity. Like, nah, that's way too simple. I need something way more complicated to like fix me. But we've already been through that.
The power of the mind right there.
All right. Last question. Where can people go to learn more about you and connect with you?
They can go to brightshininglight.com and book a free consult. We can see if we're a fit, or at least reveal what might be showing up in life that I can support with on a free consult session. brightshininglight.com. Thank you, Kep.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'll put that in the show notes for everybody too. But thanks for taking the time out to come and share with us, and really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for the stage, and thank you for the interview. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. Thanks again. And everybody, thanks for being here to the end. We love you guys. See y'all next time.
Alrighty, you guys. Thanks for making it through to the end of the Unlock Your Freedom podcast with us. Really grateful to have amazing listeners like you. Thank you guys again for listening. We love you, and we'll see you next time inside the Unlock Your Freedom podcast with Kevin Kepple.